Hi and welcome back to the latest episode of Rick's Garage. So yes, this episode may come as a little bit of a surprise to many people. That is because a couple of months ago I actually announced that I would no longer be making videos on the Alfa for YouTube. Now why is that? Where have I been the past couple of months and why am I back now? Well, quite simply, I couldn't get into the garage due to work and family commitments. I was really struggling. I didn't like the pressure of having to get videos up, and I'm not gonna lie, you know, I live and breathe cars, always have done from a young age. I love to work on them as much as I do driving them, and I was beginning to lose the interest because of making the videos. It's hard work, I hope you can appreciate that. I just wanted to come in, work on my own, make some progress and just enjoy doing it. So that's what I've been doing the past couple of months. But yeah, I'm back, at least for now. I'm hoping I can pick up where I left off. So yeah, I have made a bit of progress on the car. Not a great deal, but I have made a bit of progress. I know you want to see some progress on the car, but I'm going to save that video for the next episode, so stay tuned for that. So in this episode, what I've got in store for you is rebuilding the Brembo brake calipers for the front of the GTV. Now, it's not a step-by-step tutorial, it's just me simply videoing the process of rebuilding them for you, a few pointers along the way. Stay tuned towards the end because I will talk about certain parts that I've used and where you can get them from, including what paint I used for these. So yes, as I always say in these videos, without further ado, let's get stuck into it. Okay, so as you can see in front of you, I've got everything now to rebuild my Brembo calipers from the Alfa Romeo. As you can see, the calipers have been split in half, both of them. They've been given a fresh lick of paint, new decals. Now, the original plan, which is very common for these calipers, I was going to replace the pistons and the seals as well. But as you can see, they've just been masked over for painting. Now, the reason why I didn't bother replacing the seals and pistons is because mine were moving and functioning very smoothly upon inspection. I was quite surprised how smooth they were. They're certainly not leaking, so it's just pointless wasting my money just for the sake of it to replace them. I know they don't cost much to replace, but honestly, I just didn't see the point. They were functioning perfectly fine. Now, the only thing with these calipers, as you can see, where the shims go, that would be these stainless steel shims. They go on there. Sorry about the camera work. The stainless shims go in there just like that on the calipers. Now, what is very common to happen is the aluminium caliper will corrode underneath the shim, forcing the shim outwards or to buckle in some way, and then that will cause your brake pads to grab and not move in and out or slide in them very easily at all. They'll make your brake pads bind, squeal, rub, burn out, you name it. So yeah, it's not just the Alfa Romeo Brembos that do it, it's Brembos in general. Yeah, they can corrode underneath, so that's the reason why I wanted to split my calipers in half. Get rid of all that corrosion. Now these shims, these are the original shims. I was tempted to buy new ones, but you know, they are stainless, there's just no point. They've cleaned up very nicely, so saved myself a few quid there. The brake pipes which link the two halves of the caliper together, I've rebuilt those myself using some copper brake line. I've used the original bit of rubber off the old pipes as well. A lot of people overlook this, but it's there for a reason. To support the pipe in case it was to take a knock or anything like that. So yeah, I have utilised those. New unions on the end, as you can see. Now for the shims, going back to the shims, I've got new stainless steel, come on focus, no, yeah, there you go, I've got new stainless steel screws for those, because the original ones were completely seized in. I had to cut a little notch in the old ones and get them off with a screwdriver in the end. They were an absolute swine to remove. So yeah, got new body bolts as well in the correct tensile. Believe it or not, I had to buy these in bulk just to get the amount that I need. I only needed 8, but I had to buy a box of 50. But yeah, I got them in the end. New stainless steel bleed screws with the dust covers. Now the brake pad retaining clips got a new kit for that, and then obviously the stainless steel braided brake lines, aftermarket. Got these, I've had these on the shelf for quite a while waiting to go on. They will be a nice little addition as well. Padged new brake pads with brake wear sensors, and that's pretty much it. So what I'm going to do now, this isn't a tutorial guys, I'm just going to rebuild or put these calipers back together, and then hopefully eventually we can get them back onto the car. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is remove a load of sponge. If ever you need to spray anything, you need to cover up inside some holes, use a little bit of sponge. It works very, very well, and if you ever shot blasting anything, it works well as well. So yeah, I've got this in absolutely everywhere. What I've also got on the end here is duct tape. Okay, onto the other half. First of all, I'm just going to remove this old brake line. And as you can see, these are the new ones that I have got going on. I just kept these on just to blank off the hole, and I also used them to hang the calipers up for painting as well. So yeah, what I am going to do for now, just to stop any brake fluid coming out, or to help it coming out, is just put a little bit of foam back in there like that. Okay, so now I'm just going to remove all these bits of foam. See, when you mask these calipers up, or this half of the calipers, an easy mistake to make is masking the whole thing, but you'll find when you put the two halves of the caliper together, you need just the end bit with paint on. Can you see that? Just here. Yeah, you need to paint that end bit, because you will see that when you put the caliper on. I've made that mistake once before on a pair of these calipers off a different kind of car. So yeah, make sure you don't overlook that. Just remove these. Okay, so that half is now ready as well. Oh no, it's not. I keep lying, don't I? More foam to remove. Push that through. I think we'll leave that bit in as well for now. Leave that nipple in there as well. So yeah, the next thing we're going to do is put on all these shims. Okay, so now to fit the shims and screws, you are meant to use a thread lock. What a lot of people do is they use red thread locker, permanent thread locker, but I'm choosing personally to use blue. I do have red. I'll be using red to refit the body bolts, but yeah, for these I'm choosing to use blue. So that's what I'm going to do now. Just a little bit of thread lock. Okay, so the reason I'm using or choosing to use blue thread locker as opposed to red is because I know how much of a swine they were to remove, and I just don't think it's necessary for these shims, and I may want to take them off again in the near future. So again, for that reason alone, I'm just choosing to use the blue. I'm sure it's going to be more than adequate for this job. Okay, so the shims are nearly on now, as you can see. Nice and easy job, very straightforward, nothing to it at all. Now what I did with these shims, obviously I did say before that they were the old ones, is I put them in the vise just to straighten them out. Some of them were straight, some of them were a little bit bowed where the corrosion had been happening underneath, but yeah, now they're nice and straight, perfectly straight, to be honest. Okay, so all those shims are now fitted, at least to this caliper. Okay, so what we're going to do now is bolt the two halves of the caliper together. Now, to do this, what I'm going to do is just put one bolt in dry, just by hand. I'm not putting any thread locker on this yet, just putting it in by hand. And the idea of this one is simply just to hold the caliper together while I put the other three in initially, and then I'll take this one out last and do the same. Okay, so yeah, again, not tightening that up very much, just enough to hold the caliper together. Make sure it's lined up. Which it does seem to be. Okay, so yeah, again, for the body bolts you need red thread locker. Not a massive amount, just enough. And for those of you who want to know the specification for these bolts, they are M12 in diameter, 80mm long, thread pitch is 1.75, and also crucially the tensile strength is grade 8.8. Now be aware, you may see some sellers online selling these so-called Brembo body bolts, which are grade 12.9. Although they may be correct for some Brembo calipers, for the GTV they are grade 8.8. I almost made the mistake myself. And lastly, I'm going to take this one back out again. Put some thread locker on it. And then the last thing I obviously need to do is torque these bad boys up. That's one. Two. Three. Four. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is fit this copper brake line, which should go in there perfectly if they've done a good job of making it, which it does. Now these unions that I used on this are a little bit longer than the original unions, but not that that really matters, to be honest. Okay, so we've got that brake pipe in now, looking decent. So the next thing I'm going to do is fit the brake pads. Yeah, before they would not slide in with these like that. They were very, very stiff. There was no movement in there whatsoever. The brake pads were grabbing, the brakes were binding, but now they are very, very smooth. So quite pleased about that. Put that one in. Okay. Put this brake pad wear sensor to one side. That goes on top. Now, I found in the past the easiest way to put these in is, I don't try and put one pin in all the way in one go, rather get both pins in first. A little bit tricky. Yeah, so get both pins in halfway, just like that. Let me adjust my camera a little bit here. Yeah, and then once you've done that, what you could then do is put a little bit of copper grease on the ends of these, just to stop them seizing at any time. Okay, so the brake pads are in, brake pipes on, body bolts are in. What I'm going to do now is put on some stainless bleed nipples. Like so. I'm not going to tighten these up though, because obviously they're going to be loosened off again when it comes to bleeding the brakes. That's one, and then the other one. Again, just a dust cover on the end. Okay, so they're in. Looking decent. Now this paint isn't dodgy, by the way, it's just because it's now got fingerprints all over it. They will wipe up nice. I will admit, since I've painted them and they've been stored, I've managed to put a couple of chips in. A bit gutted about that. They don't chip easy, by the way, but yeah, these things just happen. So yeah, one thing I've noticed is this brake pad wear sensor, it's got no sleeve on it, so it doesn't clip into that groove nicely, so I'll have to do something about that. But yeah, otherwise all is looking good. Now what I'm going to do, just to finish off on this caliper, guys, I'm really sorry about the bad camera work, but again, I have got the camera, or the GoPro, attached to a chest strap on my body. So yeah, in goes this brake line. I don't have to fit this now. Again, that'll be adjusted when it's on the car, but there you go. That's what it's going to look like on the car. So they've had a new lick of paint. They've had behind the shims sorted out, all the corrosion which has vanished. New brake pads, new retaining clips and pins, new brake pipes, unions, new stainless bleed valves, new body bolts and new brake pipes. So yeah guys, if your brakes are binding or rubbing as you're driving along, or maybe even pulling to one side, or maybe even getting a bit of vibration at high speed, that can sometimes be a symptom of your brakes binding, then yeah, if you have these Brembo brakes, check your shims. Very common, these Brembos, for corroding behind the shims, causing the pads to become very, very tight. So yeah, that was what mine was doing, but now all is good. So yeah, what I'm going to do now is just sort the other one. I quite like the bright zinc plated body bolts. Originally from the factory, these are color coded, same as the calipers, but I quite like the contrast personally. But yeah, again, that's a personal thing, isn't it? I quite like it. So yeah, let's do the other one now to match. I'll do that off camera, you don't want to see that process again, and then hopefully we can get them onto the car. Happy days. Okay, so a few things I used to rebuild these calipers. So yeah, they are looking very, very nice now. I hope you'll agree with me on that. So what paint did I use? Well, please bear in mind, guys, that I did this during the midst of lockdown. Nowhere was open. I actually wanted to get them powder coated, but unfortunately that just wasn't possible. But at the same time, I still wanted to make progress with the car. So what paint do they use? Well, this is very common. I'm sure you've seen it before, and that is this stuff, the VHT Caliper Paint. So yeah, I used red and also the clear on top. Now, obviously this isn't the best method by no means, but again, it was during lockdown. Now, I have used this stuff in the past. I've made mistakes with it, and I've made, you know, I've had some good results with it as well. So a few pointers for using this. Now, this in general, it's like anything, it's only going to be as good as the person using it. Now, a lot of people will bake and cure this in the oven. Now, I've done that in the past. It's been okay, but overall I haven't had much success with doing that. But what I did do is put a couple of coats of the red on. I let it dry inside the garage, and then once it was dry to the touch, I then took it inside the house at room temperature and let it cure, not dry, let it cure for the full week, 7 to 10 days in fact. And then once I'd done that, I then put the clear over the top and then did exactly the same again. Took it into the house once it had dry and let it cure for over a week. That is the most important thing, is to let it cure. You will find it'll be dry in a day. You may pick it up and think, oh brilliant, you know, it's finished. It's not, because the more you manhandle it, then you'll find that the paint or the lacquer will smudge in your hands the more you grip a hold of it, and the more you mess with it, the more you manhandle it. So yeah, let it cure. That is the secret with this stuff. Now, it's pretty idiot proof, which is a good thing for me. The nozzle and the spray pattern is very, very good. It's very, very user friendly. It lays on very nicely and you get a lovely finish with it. Now, as for the longevity of it, how long it's going to last, how hard wearing it's going to be, now obviously it's not going to be as good as powder coat. If you knock it hard, you will chip it. In fact, during storage I have chipped mine a couple of times, but generally it doesn't come off easy. It should be fine. Will it stand the test of time? Who knows? I may end up redoing the paint in the future, but if that time comes, or if or when, then I will choose the powder coating route. So that is my recommendation really. If you can powder coat them. So yeah. The next thing that people are going to want to know is about these things, these cool looking brake hoses. Now, what are these and where did I get them? Now, you'll be familiar with these. You get the line coming off the caliper. Normally these are a hard line steel from the factory, and that goes onto the flexi like so. Now, you won't find these online anywhere, at least not that I know about, nor can you find them in any retail shops. I actually got them from this guy, Vht Motorsport. Now, this guy was absolutely fantastic. Customer service was absolutely brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I gave him the sizes and dimensions of exactly what I wanted. He made them and I had them at my front door within 2 days. So yeah, if you want some of these making up, I know he's made them for me, and I know he's made them for another GTV owner as well. If you mention them, I'm sure he knows exactly what you're talking about and he'll supply them for you straight away. He can do them in any colour, pretty much anything you want. But this isn't the only thing he sells. Anything like this you want making, he can make it for you. But yeah, fantastic guy, great customer service, and just superior materials used as well. He's used nothing but the best. So yeah, now the flexis. Now, these are by a company called Wezmoto, a UK based company. Now, I actually bought these on eBay. I'm sure many of you may have seen them on eBay, but yes, you can get these in any colour. You can buy them as a set of 4 for the GTV. I think it's about £65 or something like that. Or you can buy them individually, i.e. the fronts or the rears. That is what I did. I've already got them on the rear of the GTV, but yes, you can buy them as a set or individually rather, and then you can also buy any colour you want as well. Now, if I'd have known about BRT Motorsport before I bought these, to be fair, I probably would have gone with BRTs, but the Wezmotos, yeah, they're fantastic. Again, very, very high quality, great service, and they arrived through the post very quickly as well. So yeah, that is where I got those. So all in all, yes, I'm very happy with the way these have turned out. You know, for a DIY job, I'm chuffed with them, to be honest. They're going to look great when they're on the car. So in the next episode, hopefully what we will be doing is fitting the new discs, get these calipers on, and I'll give you a progress update on the rest of the car as well. So as always, thank you very, very much for tuning in, guys. I really, really, really appreciate it. Please click the like button, please subscribe, pass the videos around, and yeah, hopefully we can get a few more videos up. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. All the best, take care, see you in the next episode.